They're issuing cease and desist orders, which actually has been cretaceous. But I mean, if you're talking revenue of over $500,000 a month, it's really not clever to do that. You mentioning that actually makes my heart race, because yeah, this was a major issue that we had to deal with. You don't have any liability protection. You know, if you would get sued, it would be straight on your own personal name. I think the removal of the duel arena, it is the beginning of the end. Not for RuneScape, but for RWT. I literally bawled my eyes out. I really cried for days on end. It's just like a never-ending story of scammers getting smarter, so they are making double of what they would make in a normal job in their country. So they are happy. It's not that.
So today is very exciting. I've been waiting years for this opportunity because normally nobody will talk. A big gold site owner reached out to me and said, I see there's been a lot of misinformation floating around the internet regarding Jagex and how they're combating real-world trade. I see you have a huge following on YouTube and would like to offer myself to be interviewed. So long as you keep me anonymous in the video, I will be fully transparent about my business and dealings with Jagex. So needless to say, I seized the opportunity, not just to learn about how Jagex's recent crackdowns on RWT are affecting gold sellers, but also to learn about their business as a whole. I'm so excited to share this with you. I've timestamped each question. I think that deserves a like on the video alone, but if you don't want to like the video, a subscription would be even better because we're really coming up close on 100,000. On top of that, there's still time to get one of our beautiful pressure casted heavy resin statues for yourself or a RuneScape player in your life. You can use the code 2022 on checkout for a discount. All the information about that will be in the description below. So obviously you've been involved in real-world trade for a number of years. Besides your websites, you have a pretty big presence on all of the black market forums for this game. So I wonder, so the viewer can get an idea of who you are, can you talk about your growth from a nobody to a staple in the RWT scene?
My beginning days, like I told you, like I started off with a 50 euro that I stole from my mom's purse, and how I used to do it, you know player options, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I used to accept pay-safe cards. I don't know if you know what those are.
You get them from like a gas station, right?
Yeah, they're cash preloaded cards. So I would receive PIN numbers from my customers. I would actually deposit that pay-safe card to my NetTeller account. And then while the customer was waiting, I would actually buy the gold that they bought from another vendor on player auctions, and obviously for a lower price, and then I would pocket and save up the gold. Now that gold I was using back in the day to gamble myself or to play flower poker, and then the access gold that I would have or created, I would actually sell that again. So this was just me. This was no employee. This was just on my own. I think it took me like 6 months to make my first 1,000 euro. And then I remember getting scammed for all of it. And I was already pretty old at the time. I think I was like 23 at the time. I literally bawled my eyes out. I really cried for days on end. And then, you know, it was quit or just restart over. And then I restarted over, and then it went really fast. And then I started, you know, making some more money, investing that into making a website, getting my first customers through that website, because the first website was pure hell. It was ugly. It was nothing. Like I made that by hand on webs.com. Like the earlier version of Wix, it was horrible. And then, you know, when sales started to rake in, I got my first 2 employees, and then I started investing in advertising. The first big purchase I actually made advertising wise was like a banner slot on powerbot.org when it was still around. And then sales just started booming from there. So it is a hell of a road, but it was worth it.
And so you mentioned that you got your first 2 employees back then, but just to give the audience a size of your business now, how many employees do you currently have?
Our team consists out of 14 live chat employees, and we have one, I call him the team manager, who manages it all. So in total, I think I have other admins and stuff, but the live chat team itself consists out of 15 people. So one manager who oversees a team of 14 people.
And going along with this theme, people on the community post I did were, of course, very interested in knowing how profitable it is to run a gold selling website.
Oh, it is very profitable. To be honest, if you were one of the early birds, and I'm talking 2016, 2017, if you started then, maybe even prior, by now you probably have a good amount of money saved up. Like there have been months where as a company, we were easily raking in 100, 200K. So obviously you have to cut some expenses out of that. If we're talking revenue, back in the good old days, I think our top revenue a month, we calculate in euros, but I'm going to say this in dollars. It was about $530,000 per month.
So that would be your total cash flow, and then you make your spread on that, right?
Yeah, so over $500,000 of revenue per month. So do that on a year and then, get a profit percentage of that of like 17%. You can do the math. So it is very profitable. But if you would ask me, like, would you start your business right now? I would say no. You need to be one of the early birds. Otherwise, you might as well just not do it.
It does seem like it's quite the oversaturated market. Like the barrier to entry is quite low. I see all these sellers all over these black market forums trying to get into a position that you've got yourself into, and it seems like the profit margins are so low, like paying for the big advertisements is just not really feasible.
There were bad players, in my opinion, who dragged the market down. Like before, I'm talking 2017, 18, 19, the spread that we could keep was a lot higher. I remember the days where we actually worked on a profit margin of 27 to 30%. Now we can be happy that we have a profit margin of 16 to 17%. And that's pretty expensive because other websites, I'm not going to name any names, but I think you know who I'm talking about. If you look at their buying price and then compare it to their selling price, there is no way that they're making more than 5 to 6% net off their sales. And that is just ridiculously low. I'm not doing that. Look, if I ever have to go to that point where I'm just making 5 to 6% on a sale, I'm just closing down. I'm not doing it.
Fair enough. I mean, it's a tough business, isn't it? Because you've got the same product as everybody else, so really your only competitive advantage is lowering the price.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The only two things people need in this business is, a low price and a fast delivery. If they don't get their goals now, they're not satisfied and they're not going to come back. Like I've had complaints where a customer literally started raging our heads off because they didn't get their delivery in under 2 minutes. It's crazy sometimes. And I do believe that is going to be solved with the duel arena because most people who start raging, obviously, I mean, they either just lost money in the duel arena or they want to continue staking or so yeah.
So that thought actually makes a good transition out of the intro and into the first main question that people are curious about. And that's if you notice like any trends and who's buying gold.
I'm going to start with going over our buyers. Now, our buyers are mostly active players, sometimes with a staking addiction. This is hard to say for me because a lot of the people that buy gold do use it to stake in the duel arena. I would say 40% of our customer base, the demographics are mostly American customers, Canadian, Australians, the whole of Europe basically. Age-wise, between, the ages of 15 to 28, 29, that's most of the average age of our customers. Now, seller-wise, most of our customers are, like you said earlier, they are flippers. We call them Discord bulkers because people like that mostly flip gold from actual people who play the game, stakers, gold farmers, or anyone that would sell to them any gold that they can get, and then they actually sell it to our website for a margin. But those people actually supply our website 24/7. For example, we have one bulker. The longest shift that he did on our website was, I think, 4 days straight without sleep. So he just literally sat in our live chat delivering our orders for 4 days straight without stopping.
So I did a whole video with a Discord bulker before, and basically what I gathered from that is that for you as a gold website, it's a really good de-risk because if they get banned with the gold, well, you haven't paid for it. So of course you're out nothing, right?
Yeah, the thing what we do is I would consider us now at least a broker because we basically connect the customer to the seller directly and we keep a spread in between. So for example, a customer would buy $100 of gold on our website. We would buy that gold from a person, let's say for $80. And that seller would give the gold to our customer directly. So there is no ban risk for us whatsoever. On the other hand, we do have active players who sell gold to our website as well, and that's also a big chunk. So I found in experience that if you trade gold from active player to active player, the ban risk for both parties gets reduced by a lot.
Just a little edit time interjection, because I didn't pick up on this while I was in conversation with him. What he's saying is that, let's say you went and sold 50 mil to the website, they might have you trade it over to like another player that's trying to buy gold instead of like one of their mule accounts. Can you imagine if you went to sell gold and all of a sudden you're trading your clanmate?
Obviously, there's a financial deciding factor why we did it, because back in the days, like back in the good old days, 2017, 2018, we did keep stock, but we stopped doing that beginning of 2019.
And was that like just about de-risking, like turning your business into the sales channel, not having to worry about your GP mules getting banned?
Yes, because we had a period, and I swear to God, this was in June of 2018. We could not keep 25 mil RSO7 without getting banned. Every time we took a little amount of gold on our accounts, it instantly got banned. And I've seen that disconnection screen on RuneScape so many times it gives me nightmares. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly know they're able to crack down on accounts like that, because I remember whenever Dyson got removed, I think around 2012, they cracked down on some of like the big dicers hard. They couldn't keep accounts up for more than a few minutes before Jagex had them nuked, because they just want to completely eradicate them from the game.
Like you said, it's absolutely for sure. That's what I believe. They do know how to crack down on RWT. The difference between ban rates is insane. Like there have been times where we literally got banned for trading 25 mil 07, and 2-3 months later, we could be keeping 2 to 3, 4, 5 bill 07 on one account without being banned and keep that account alive for months. So I really believe that they do this in waves just to clean the economy somewhat and to just make sure that it doesn't get out of hand, because if the price of gold crashes to like, I don't know, 10 cents, that's really not good for the economy.
You know, the anti-cheating team is small too, so I feel like it might just be a thing where every couple months they're like, okay, let's dedicate a week to going after gold sellers.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could think of it that way, but the whole idea that Jagex knows how to combat RWT is a fact for me. I know they can literally eradicate it within a month or 2 months if they wanted to, but even if you want to get gold the legitimate way, it's going to take you a really, really, really long time. And players just don't want to go through that. And of course you can buy bonds and something, but you know, I mean, if you want to buy 2 bill, good luck doing that in bonds, for example. I mean, you're not going to start doing that.
You know, I suppose you're right. I've never really thought about that before, but thinking back to like watching Sir Pugger buy a ton of bonds to give like a couple bill away for some of his videos, that is a huge limiting factor just because of the amount of work they have to do to sell them for anyone that's kind of interested in buying like a T-bow. Not to mention the price of buying gold through bonds is astronomical compared to the secondary market. And you know, you say that players don't want to earn the gold themselves, and I actually agree with you on that. I think the fact of the matter is that RuneScape has a much older player base now with much more disposable income, but much less free time. And so there is a lot of people that would just kind of prefer to pay to skip a large portion of that grind to achieve whatever it is that they want to do in the game. And honestly, I mean, bonds are a thing. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to spend money on the game in this way. It's essentially a hobby. But my problem with real world trade is basically all the bad actors that come along with it, right? Like phishing, account cracking, scamming, etc.
Yeah, I mean, of course, money attracts, and with all the staking and gambling and that's going on in RuneScape, it does attract the bad apples. All those kind of people that kind of ruin the economy, obviously.
Okay, and so kind of going along with this theme, I wonder if you know like what industries gold comes from. Like who's selling the gold? Is it scammers? Is it from people staking? Like who's primarily supplying gold?
I think the gold is created by botters. Even if you stake in a duel arena, that gold isn't made. It's just exchange. It's just exchanging hands. Yeah, it has to be originated somewhere. So I would say it's like this: 30% are active players that want to sell their gold, because we do have a lot of people who go like, okay, I've played for this many months, or I've played for this many years, and I have this much gold, and I actually want to sell it, or maybe even worse, like I want to quit the game, I want to sell all my gold. So I would say 30% is that. Then 40% of our supply, I would actually say, are stakers. So just people who get lucky, they make tons of GP by dueling, by staking, and they just sell it. But those are also the people that buy it in the first place, because we have tons of people that, for example, they place an order for €1,000 of gold, and then literally like 2 hours later, they come like, okay, here's €3,000 worth of gold I want to sell to you. So I would say that's 40% of our supply are just stakers. And then the other 30% is literally actual botters, like actual gold farmers. And we're talking Brazilians, Venezuelans, people from those kind of countries that actually have a bot farming rig that actually make stupid amounts of gold, and then they offload it to websites like us. And that's where the most profit is in, because they actually undercut the market by a lot, because they just want to get rid of it. Like they're literally going to come on our website and go like, okay, your price is 0.5 per mil. Okay, I'll sell it to you for 0.45.
Right, and they're from countries where a dollar goes a lot further too, so they're happy to make that profit.
Yeah, I've seen the message on all.com, for example, which is shut down when he talks about the people from Venezuela. Yeah, we have a lot of those too. Brazilian and people from Venezuela are the biggest countries of the last 30%, which are the actual gold farmers.
All right, so this is the big juicy question, right? What are your thoughts on the removal of the duel arena? How do you think it's going to affect real-world trade in general? And how do you think it's going to affect your business?
In my opinion, it is the beginning of the end. Not for RuneScape, but for RWT. Is it going to die in the next couple of months? No, obviously not. But Jagex is taking dramatic steps into actually trying to get rid of RWT in total. But they're doing this not only by removing the duel arena, but they're actually issuing bans to gold buyers. This is something Jagex has never done before. Now they're actually issuing warnings. If you do it again, you get a temporary ban. If you do it again, you might have your gold removed. You might have a permanent ban. What they're also doing is they're attacking our business directly. They're complaining to Google, so they're trying to take our Google ads down. They're complaining to Facebook. They're trying to close our Facebook accounts down. They're issuing cease and desist orders, which actually has been crutaceous. I mean, a lot of sites are already taken down. All RS Goldmine, R2 Pleasant, all sites that got taken down in the last couple of months. Literally every website that I can think of, like even the small ones, have gotten cease and desist letters. So what they do is they hire an IP company, and basically they send out the same letter. It's the same email that they send out, but just, different URL of the website and different company information of who they're sending it to, but the letter is the exact same, and they send it out in bulk. Like we got 2 or 3 of them in 1 week time, and then they go and send this to our hosting provider. So if you're, for example, connected to a website host that takes this kind of stuff seriously, they are going to close your account where your hosting is based on. So that poses another issue. But in general, I can see it's spooking a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, if you're for example, if you have a personal business linked to your website, you don't have any liability protection. If you would get sued, it would be straight on your own personal name. So I can see that being, a factor of people closing down their website.
And so after all of these years of what sounds like pretty clear sailing, why do you think they're just taking all of these kind of extra steps now?
Yeah, the reason why I think that Jagex is actually cracking down on RWT so hard is not because they want to get rid of RWT per se, because they could have done all these measures that they're doing right now. They could have done that a long time ago. The reason, in my opinion, why they're cracking down on RWT so hard right now is because of pressure from banks and governments, because in-game gambling is a problem. It forms an addiction. So I've seen your last video, and you talked about how the commission is trying to regulate the whole in-game scenario, and I think that is the major factor why they're cracking down on RWT.
Yeah, I think this has been kind of the common thought that I've heard, at least since when Boogaloo got shut down 2 or 3 years ago, that while I would like to think they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart, that it's more about regulatory agencies in the UK trying to get gambling law, which is already super strict in the UK, to apply to what's going on in the games industry. So, considering all these things that they're doing to your business, how has this affected you?
Yes, our business has been affected a lot, actually. Our customer base has gone down. The orders have gone down. The money flow has turned back a notch. And yes, it is a big thing, yes.
I mean, I know you said earlier, obviously 40% of your business is gone with the removal of the duel arena. But what about that other 60%? Like, Jagex said they're banning buyers. Has that been happening?
To be fair, our website hasn't seen that much impact. I do have a lot of customers that said, okay, I'm scared of buying gold because I did get a warning. So I haven't heard of bans per se. I haven't heard of gold removal yet, but I've had a lot of customers say that they got a warning yet. So I don't think that they're actually going to start dishing out bans. The worst thing I can actually see them doing, and I think this is going to become a reality, is gold removal, because in the end they're not banning your account, so you can still play. It's just de-incentivizing buying gold. So if you, for example, would buy 50 euro of gold and the next day you look on your account and it's gone, okay, are you going to quit RuneScape? I mean, you might, but less likely than if you would lose your whole account. You probably just would stop buying gold altogether. You just play the game legitimately. And I think that's what Jagex is actually aiming for.
Okay, so people always want me to ask this next one. I think they think it's illegal to participate in secondary markets like this, and they don't realize it's only against Jagex terms of service and not really anything else. But yeah, they're always wondering, like, with all of this revenue, how do you handle the tax side of things?
No, we have a company. We pay our corporate tax, obviously. We have accountants who work for us. We have bookkeepers who calculate everything and who put everything together. And yeah, we have a tax return every year. So no, what we're doing is not illegal state-wise or country-wise or whatever you want to call it. Definitely not illegal. The only thing what we're doing is, IP infringement, or that's what Jagex is claiming. There's nothing wrong with doing this because we do pay our taxes, or you should. That's at least what we're doing. I don't know what other people are doing, but yeah, we do.
Basically every interview I do, I bring up taxes because it's always a question that people on my YouTube channel want to hear about. And a lot of people won't even answer it because they are kind of flying by night.
A lot of sellers are actually using Bitcoin as a loophole to not pay taxes, but I mean, if you're talking revenue of over $500,000 a month, it's really not clever to do that. Like, we pay taxes on everything. We have an audit every year. So if we would, for example, bring in one part of the business and leave another part out, I mean, the audit's not going to make sense anyway, so we're basically fucking ourselves in the long run.
I'm really glad to finally get that answered on video. So if you don't mind, I want to spin back to your live chat agents again. I'm curious if they're people who are familiar with RuneScape, or have you actually had to teach them to deliver the gold? And what about trust too? Because I remember seeing a post, I think it was when Boogle Gold shut down, but it could have been another gold site, where they were closing their operation and they wanted to rehome their live chat agents, and kind of their main points for that, they already knew how to deliver gold, but more importantly, they could also be trusted with big quantities of gold and not run off with it.
I know that a lot of these people who work gold site are sometimes actual bulk sellers themselves. So what bigger websites would do, they would turn to these gold sellers who have actual experience, and they would be like, okay, can you come work in our live chat? We might actually give you a cut, because, for example, there's a difference as well. We pay standard wage per hour. I know of other websites who actually pay a profit percentage to their live chat employees, but I think that's not a good way to go about it. Our workers are indeed not familiar with the game RuneScape. They just know how to deliver gold, and that's it. Because in the end, I've always had a feeling that if Discord bulkers would actually see how much money is coming through your website, they're not going to want to work anymore for you. They're just going to want to try and do it on their own. So that's why I hire people that really don't have any experience with the game.
And so when you do hire people, someone else was curious where you hire them out of.
All of our agents are from a non-first world country base. I don't know how to say that properly, but...
Yeah, no, I get it. Just somewhere where a dollar goes a lot further. I imagine it probably would be too much to hire someone locally and have to pay, like, the minimum wage wherever it is that you're from, right?
No, because also, like, the times have changed, and at the beginning we did have a full 8-person live chat team, and they were all like Canadian, Australian, American. But that was the time when I did pay profit percentage. Some of these people were making like $42 an hour. And that's not something that is profitable for me now to do, because one, the margins now are way too low and they wouldn't even reach $42 an hour. And now I like literally every bit of money that the company can make is a given, because money is flowing left and right now to channels that we didn't have a problem with before. On the other hand, I do have to say, like, the workers that we have right now, I mean, if they would actually get a normal job in their country, they would actually make half of what they're making now. So they are making double of what they would make in a normal job in their country. So they are happy. It's not that.
Oh, this is one I didn't think to include earlier, but have you ever had the experience when a dupe happens and people like go and start trying to offload that gold?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is something that we notice really quickly, because there's like a constant flow of sellers who come in our live chat and they ask the price. So we would give them a standard command, which is, for example, we're paying $0.4 per RSO7 mil. And then suddenly we're used to having maybe like 10 at a time. Like suddenly there would be like, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 people asking to sell gold, and they would outbid each other. They would be like, okay, your standard price is 0.4. Well, you know what? Take the gold off my hands for 0.3. And then if tons of people are doing that, we know there's a dupe going on.
And so what do you do? Like, do you stop buying the gold or what?
No, because like I said, we do broker now, so bans are not really an issue. We just always go for the lowest person and we try to outbid them against each other. It's just business,
Gotcha. Yeah, so it's the bulk buyers that are affected.
Yeah.
I talked to one guy, he whenever the RS3 dupe happened, he lost like $13,000 or something ridiculous.
Yeah,
and he doesn't deal with RS3 anymore because of it.
Chain bans are crazy. Like, I remember when we were still holding gold and still actually keeping the stock ourselves, like RS3 was the worst. I remember it was June, I can't remember which year, but I had 27 accounts banned in total, and the total amount of gold lost was around 10K, and it's just painful. It's just if I would still have the money that I lost to ban gold, oh dear God, like I would buy myself a Lamborghini right now.
So a couple of years ago, I did a video with a group of guys that was impostering gold selling websites to go around and like change their name to intercept trades as they happened. I wonder if you like had any run-ins with them.
You mentioning that actually makes my heart race, because this was a major issue that we had to deal with, especially because we're not keeping stock and because we're literally brokering. So we were especially a target for those people. Like, we had to refund so many orders. It was crazy. Because obviously if people get scammed on our watch, I'm not going to be like, okay, this is your issue. No, obviously we either, refunded the money, or in most cases we gave the order again and did a double verification. It was hell. Yeah, we were definitely targeted by that.
And so I'm curious, because I've never had a gold website's perspective on this, but what was your solution to that problem?
I made a spreadsheet for our agents, and it consists out of, I would say, about 50 different spots and locations in the game itself. And I hired another person specifically to change our live chat commands every 30 minutes to 45 minutes so that we would consistently and actively change spots and trading roles in the game. Because most of these people would actually follow us around. For example, they know from 6 a.m. till, I don't know, 8 a.m. they're trading there. That site is there. This seller has this name. Like, I'm 100% sure they kept track of that. So we actively try to actually change our position in the game and in the world as well. Also changing trading spots to literally spots that no one comes, like Karamja, for example. That also helped. Okay, it was a bit weird to the customer. Like, okay, I need to actually pay a ferry now, or I need to teleport there. I mean, we also traded in Falador, for example, for a long, extensive period of time, and that also helped. Like, actually spots where scammers wouldn't even think to look. Like I said, I don't agree with the ethics, but I do understand what it is to need money, because I started my business with 50 euro that I stole from my mom's purse. So that's literally where it started. And now, I mean, I have, I don't want to boast or anything, but I have 3 cars, I have 2 houses, I have, I'm living really good right now. So, but yeah, There were days where we literally didn't have water to shower because they turned our water off, and I had to go shower with the neighbors and stuff like that. So I mean, I know what it is to need money. Yeah.
So I feel like this can make or break any business that is selling digital assets. Anything where once it goes to the customer, there's no way of clawing it back because it really makes you quite susceptible to fraud. So how is dealing with it, and how do you deal with it?
It is an issue in multiple factors because one, you have the in-game fraud and the in-game scammers, like you mentioned earlier, where they would actually pose as a seller or a buyer and they would change their name and would try to scam in game. That's one. Then you have the actual problem of phishers that would actually hack a bank account and then, use that to buy gold, because you can't do this anymore. Like usually phishers go and hack a bank account and they would go and buy Bitcoin. That would be the perfect solution. It's untraceable, it's whatever, right? But this, like if you want to buy that on Kraken or on Binance, you're going to ask for know your customer verification. Most gold sellers, I mean, they're going to ask for a picture of your passport, but that's going to be it. Back in the day, that's what we used to do. We used to ask for a picture of passport. Buying a picture of a passport really doesn't cost that much. You can literally buy this off the dark web. Scammers know this. So then we had to up our game to where we started asking for phone numbers. Then they started using spoof phone numbers and all that other kind of workaround. Then you had to do biometric scanning. And this is actually the best way to go about it. I think if you actually have a good know your customer base solution and verification system, that you can get around the scammers. But it's hard because a lot of customers just don't want to do it because they don't trust it. Because that's another issue. There are bad apples in the society of gold sellers. There are actually scamming websites. There are Discord sellers who literally scam you. So to ask a customer to put trust with their real life identity document is hard, and not a lot of people do it. So that way we also get hit because we lose customers. There's another issue to this as well. For example, we are a regulated business. We do have contracts with banks. We do work with payment processors. It's 2022. Like the golden days of PayPal are gone because PayPal just literally locks your account. And once they figure out that you're selling in-game currencies, they lock your account. It's done. It's really hard these days to find a decent payment processor that can actually process Visa and MasterCard payments for you. If you do find one, they're very strict about it. If you have a too high chargeback rate, they kick you out the door. So you're going to have to make sure that your chargeback rate is low or you lose your payment processor. They lock your account or they keep your money for 6 months if your chargeback rate is too much. And obviously you lose the money that if you have a chargeback. So let's say customer orders $1,000 worth of gold, you lose that, you lose another $20 to $40 for chargeback fee. They complain, they want to see your KYC protocol and so forth. It's hell. It's just like a never-ending story of scammers getting smarter and then you trying to combat their techniques, but then they get smarter again and then you need to adjust your system, and it's literally a never-ending game. It's crazy.
So if we look towards the future now, obviously you've been in business for years, but people are curious if you believe there's a viable long-term career in this going forward. And if not, do you have any sort of backup plan?
First of all, if you would have asked me this in 2017, I would have said, yes, this is a long-term career. If you would ask me now, I would say probably not, because RW2 is going to end somewhat. Does that mean I don't have a stream of income anymore? No, because I actually have 3 companies. I have a company that is focused for real estate investment. I have a social media branding company that actually does, SEO, Google Analytics. We make websites, we write blogs, we do all that kind of good stuff. And then I have this company. So I have an investment portfolio in crypto. So no, obviously if RWT would actually die, would I be sad? Yes, obviously this is my first baby. This is my first business, but am I going to go under? Definitely not, because I've learned so much from this.
Yeah, so it sounds like you'd be sad to see the cash cow go, but you've diversified in the meantime.
Yeah.
Okay, so this next one is just kind of like some speculative BS, but I wonder if you can give some rough insight into how large the gold market is in terms of money traded.
I can literally say it's huge. Like, I'm just one website, but in revenue, we're at a couple of million every year.
When you think of other websites that are close to your size, how many are out there?
So at least a couple. I mean, we do talk figures with each other, and I've seen proof of websites that revenue-wise, close to $1 million every month. So I mean, I wouldn't consider myself the biggest, obviously not, but we are one of the biggest websites, like 500,000 in revenue for one website per month. You have like, I don't know, 10 websites that are bigger. There's obviously websites that are smaller, but if you combine that, it's insane amounts of money that gets transferred every single month, like every single day. It's crazy. It's way bigger than games like World of Warcraft or anything like that. This game literally thrives on it. The whole thing that's going on with RWT, if they would actually remove the duel arena in full, which they are going to do, and if they would actually crack down on gold buying as a whole, I don't see RuneScape surviving for another couple of years. It's going to go downhill more and more. And either they're going to let it die, or they're going to revert changes and actually have this open hand conclusion to gold buying, where they're actually going to, not punish gold buyers anymore, and they're actually just going to go back to the old system where they just, dealt harsh punishments to sellers. So I think that's what's going to go.
It's I feel like it's a hard problem for Jagex. I feel like they're looking at bonds as the solution because obviously they've said it themselves. 50% of the player base does real world trade, and I think a lot of them won't play if they can't real world trade. But the problem they have now with bonds is that there's no real increase in demand for them. People buy them for membership and they buy them for name changes, and that's about it. And we can see already with like the announcements they've made, the price of bonds is already tanking. And realistically, the farther that price falls, the less incentive people have to actually buy bonds because they get less value for their money.
How much is a bond now? Do you actually know?
So it's $7 USD per bond, and right now they sell for about 4.3 million GP each. So that's what, a little less than $2 a mil, like $1.70 or something a mil.
That's crazy. I mean, come on. I don't see anyone doing it. Like the quantities are also way too small. Like our average order is like $50 worth. So that's at least 100 mil, if not more. So if you're gonna have to start doing that in bonds, I mean, good luck with that. It's too time consuming. It's too costly. No one's gonna do it.
Even the botters don't buy bonds through gold. They get the cheap Mexican membership codes.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
And so this one is more of a hunch I've always kind of had. Did many gold sellers manage to ride the Bitcoin wave?
I think so, yes. I mean, eventually you get rolled into BTC whether you want it or not, because in this community it is a payment method that is used a lot. I mean, we all keep some kind of BTC or Ethereum in stock because we need it to send payments, because most of the people that sell gold, they want to get paid in Bitcoin. So obviously we need to keep Bitcoin on hand to actually pay our suppliers. But on the other hand, it goes double. I remember the bull market from 2017, 2018, when it all went to hell, and then obviously you have the other effect. I mean, now times are good, but for example, Bitcoin-wise, times were bad, 2017, 2018. So it's a double-edged sword,
So that wraps it up for my questions. I wonder if there's anything I missed that maybe you want to add.
Not specifically. I think you covered it pretty full. I mean, we've been talking for a while, so...
So I hope you guys enjoyed this really long interview. If you made it to the end, let me know. I'm always so fascinated by this stuff that I just didn't want to cut any of the questions from it. Just great insight into how the gold industry works on RuneScape, and now more recently what Jagex is doing to combat it. This was recorded in early December, so a lot of these changes had just kind of come into effect, but maybe we'll do a follow-up interview in maybe a year's time and kind of figure out like what's going on. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.